I've got me a doozy for you. Okay, check this out. I'm gonna let this play for the 20 seconds or whatever, and then I'll comment because I want to tell you a story.
Do you support his death?
I do.
You support his death?
Fuck Charlie Kirk.
You support Charlie Kirk being killed?
Yes, I do.
On the day he died, you're here at a vigil for Charlie Kirk and you support his death.
Do you support a Nazi?
No, I don't support a Nazi. Charlie Kirk wasn't a Nazi.
Yes,
You support his shooter?
Yep, sure do. Free him.
You support Charlie Kirk's shooter?
Sure do. He did us all a favor.
Would you shoot somebody like Charlie Kirk?
I would have killed him myself.
The story I want to tell you is going to be a brief one. I used to work for a very big company. Very, very, very large in my field. A while ago. Anybody who can figure out who I am will dox me. Will figure out what company this is. And I used to have a colleague who shall remain nameless. I'll spare him his blushes, but he was a he. And I remember distinctly talking to him about a fellow who has probably disappeared from view, whose name was, presumably still is, Richard Spencer. Now that is a guy that held very strong views, I suppose, regarding various political topics, including basically, I think he was advocating for racial segregation, but I may be misquoting him. I can't remember, it's been a long time. And what had happened at the time, for we have a memory and we must use it, is he was giving a speech at some point, and somewhere, can't remember where, and somebody punched him in the face, I think, as he was sort of turned around. I can't remember the footage now, but there was video, and somebody just went to him and wham, straight to the side of his face. If I remember right, he was kind of unaware of it happening, and he recovered fairly quickly and sort of carried on. And I talked to this colleague of mine about this particular event. And I remember telling this colleague of mine, bear in mind this is a long time ago, eh? This is, what will it be? Let me try and do some mental math here. It would have been, I want to say 2014. 2015. 14, 15, something like that. So we're talking 10 years ago. Okay? I was talking to this colleague of mine and telling him about this particular situation. And he says, well, it's Richard Spencer. I would punch a Nazi too. That's what he said. And I remember being absolutely taken aback, like proper incredulous in what I was hearing. Because I told him, I'm sorry, you would physically attack somebody whose opinions you find deplorable. That's fine. Right? But you would physically attack them. He said, yes. Very matter-of-factly. And I was like, huh? How does that work? Right? I was like, surely you would need to persuade this individual of your ideas instead, or something like that. Like, I would never attack anybody because of what they think. That I recall, I'm probably paraphrasing, bear in mind it's been a decade, right? And he said, and this sentence I remember very distinctly. He said to me, well, you're a better man than me. That's what he said. Now, it goes without saying that what he said is obviously true. I'm afraid. But 10 years ago, this was happening. It wasn't lethal, but it's exactly the same idea. So, an individual got assaulted, and some people on the sidelines, cowards that they are, of course, were cheering this on. In this case, these two worms that we're staring at here, my understanding is, are at the vigil. What do you gain from any of this? I need to stop attempting to understand them, right? But I had a colleague that told me exactly this a long time ago. And I know that me reporting, first of all, I don't do that sort of stuff. This is what modern people do, reporting people to your manager. That's out of the question. But I knew that if I had done so, it would have been dismissed. And rightfully so, in a sense, because it's his opinion. It's the peculiar hypocrisy. I think I may have already talked about this on this channel, about how the word hypocrisy needs to be redefined, because the fundamental element of hypocrisy that's missing in the definition is the lack of awareness. Right? This individual that I'm speaking of, which is essentially a mirror copy of what we're staring at right now, said openly that he would happily attack this individual because of his opinions. Yet, if I were to report what is effectively speaking an incredibly vile position, it would effectively be a coin toss depending on what the opinions, what the positions of the individual evaluating this would be, to decide whether it's freedom of speech for him to say this hypothetical or not. While obviously the attack was done because this individual who was attacked in both cases, so Richard Spencer at the time and Charlie Kirk now, were attacked because of what they said, what they stood for, whatever. So their freedom of speech. Freedom of speech doesn't have a subject. It's not yours or mine. But this isn't a freedom of speech discussion. Quite a lot of people are framing it this way. This is an element, but it's not really what I want to talk about. I just want to say I experienced this. I've seen this with my own two eyeballs in my own cranium. And I knew there was nothing I could do about it at the time. And there's nothing I could do about it now. I've seen a video from Tommy Robinson, a very short video, getting incredibly furious with his Prime Minister, Keir Starmer, because Keir Starmer apparently declared something like that he wishes condolences, etc. And Tommy Robinson is saying, it's you doing this. And Tommy Robinson is absolutely right. The politicians, as well as all of the institutions, the state fundamentally, are fueling this level of retardation in people. It's retardation because you need to be stupid in order to think this way. You need to be like challenged. You need to be challenged to be a hypocrite. It's necessary. Like I said, lack of awareness is part of it. But yeah, I saw this video from Bering's wife, woman, whatever it is. Hello. I shan't name your name because my children eventually will see this, so I'm sure they'll find out. Mrs. Memories. Mrs. Sweet Memories. So thank you for highlighting this, but I already knew, but is difficult really to understand. I did a video a couple of days ago when I talked about criminals and their stupidity and how there is no meaningful difference between stupidity and evil. I think this is just another case, right? I mean, I don't even know who Kirk is. Never ever seen any of his content before. But that doesn't matter at all. He's an individual that has been killed, which is the ultimate crime, by somebody. And utter maggots are dancing on his grave. I'm feeling a mix of anger and bewildered resignation. The good news, I suppose, one could put it this way, the peculiar silver lining, is that all of these zeros that we're staring at right now have no offspring, will never have any offspring. If they will be out of wedlock in a destroyed family, so those offspring will not have any offspring. So the irony of all of this is that these people are going to remove themselves out of the gene pool. And thank bloody goodness for that. Ta-ta.